Welcome back to Inspired or Acquired. This is the podcast where we interview real business owners, talk real numbers, and ask them whether or not they would sell their business. We've got a really fun one today. We're joined by Furkan Yuce out of Baltimore, Maryland. He runs Elevation Flooring. We're going to hear all about his business. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Clint Fiore, mergers and acquisition specialist out of Texas. So it's good to see you, Furkan. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We're here in March, and I'm excited to dig in with you and catch up and see if we can tempt you to sell your business. So if people don't know about you, and you're a pretty fun follow on Twitter and keep it real, and you're always talking the realities in sales. Tell us a little bit about your business, and then we can get into it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm really excited to do this. I love talking about stuff like this, and I love learning more about how to be better. But yeah, just a little bit about Elevation Flooring. We started, it's me and I have two other partners. We focus on commercial flooring for data centers, corporate settings, early education, basically everything, hotels, hospitalities, casinos, but all commercial. We started in 2017. Late 2017, and basically have been grinding ever since. The challenges of a business change every year, but going from 0 to 1, 1 to 5, and, now trying to get to that 10, 20 million mark, the stages of business are very interesting. So we're getting through it.
What's the size of your team nowadays?
We have around 20 people. Now I think it's around 19. I do have some people, some overseas help. We have another office in Istanbul, Turkey, which is where I'm Turkish. So, but that is totally our office, no third party or anything like that. I have, so I own that business, and we run it. We have full-time people that show up and they work solely for Elevation Flooring. So that's I think 12 people out there. And then we have like I said, eight people in America. And yeah, it's so all of our operations are in America, and our estimating and pre-construction is what we do in Turkey.
Cool. So what made you choose commercial flooring, or how'd you get into that space?
I think I always wanted to start a business. I really knew from my childhood that I would own a business one day. And I always had the classic entrepreneur type stuff, shoveling the snow when you're in high school, and then all those really shitty jobs that you have. I've worked so many different jobs, but the real break came through when I started working as a translator, actually. So I'm fluent in Turkish. I was born in Turkey. I came to America when I was 1. But I'm fluent in Turkish, and there was a big construction job going on in Washington, D.C., and they had flown in a very specialty crew to do some of the tile work it's the Watergate Hotel. And then they got all these guys on site, and they realized they couldn't communicate with them. So they were frantically looking for someone who could be a translator. And I, saw the job, and I was I could definitely do that. So I was a sophomore in college at that point. And I just was not only translating stuff on the field, but I was translating meetings between the owner of the business and the general contractor. And this was a huge project. But then I realized there just wasn't that much complicated stuff that you would think just owning a business, but also just with commercial construction. And, I just realized a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. And the window really is open for, people to just try really hard and compensate and fill in that, experience gap. So I was I stayed in the field after that year. I stopped doing that for the summer. I went back to school, then I graduated, and I had multiple jobs in commercial construction. Somehow I was doing sales. I was doing, I worked as a project manager in operations after I did sales. So right before I got into, before we started Elevation Flooring, I was working for a commercial tile company, and I was like, man, like tile fucking sucks. I was like, you guys should really do flooring. Like, I was like, you need to start a flooring division. You need to start a flooring division. So then my boss at the time, he's like, okay, that's a really good idea. Let's start doing flooring. And then like right off the bat, they started getting a bunch of flooring jobs, and it started working out really well. And I was like, damn, like, you know, I looked at one of my coworkers at the time, and I was like, hey man, I was like, we need to do this for ourselves. Like, we can't start this guy a fresh, brand new company and give it to him. So a couple months progressed after that, and then I met my third partner, which is the guy, he was in the field. So he was actually a subcontractor that I was hiring to do work while I was at my old company. And the second I met him, I called the other third guy, and I was like, hey, I met the last piece of the puzzle. It's a go. You know, so then I quit my job 2 weeks later. We all put $2,500 into a bank account each. So we had $7,500, and we went and we rented an office space that was literally just like a little room. And like, people who follow me kind of know the story, and they've seen the pictures of this room and stuff. But basically the first 3 months I was just in there by myself, just like growing the business, learning more about commercial flooring, trying to understand flooring, and trying to get jobs. And then slowly from there is what we progressed, moving warehouses, moving offices, and adding people on. And, you know, it didn't really start strictly with just like, oh, I want to be into flooring. And I'll like, you know, life kind of just takes you in that direction of guiding you to what will happen for you, you know?
Yeah. Awesome story, man. And you're a young guy still. Like, you got a family?
Yeah. Well, I just got, I'm 30.
Okay.
So I started Elevation when I was 23.
Wow.
So, and like, yeah, I'm married. I want to have a family. Hopefully gonna start having kids and stuff soon. But yeah, I mean, that's like a part of the whole thing, like growing, you know, trying to get married and trying to have a business, and like the highs and lows of everything is like, that's the most testing part of being an entrepreneur. It's just like doing it every day, you know, and like progressing your own social life as well.
Yeah. You're definitely the man in the arena out there getting things done. And I loved something you said, as it was almost like a passing comment, but you were like, it sounded like you just realized at 23, like the people doing this they're just normal people that don't know what they're doing. I'm a normal person that doesn't know what I'm doing, so maybe I can do this too. You know, I feel like that's what kind of drew me to entrepreneurship too. Was I was in a profession that there was aviation insurance. I worked for a big company.
Cool. Wow.
But like, my clients owned airplanes, and most people that own airplanes own businesses. And then when I started like meeting them and getting to know them and serving their insurance needs, I was like, I started just becoming fascinated by what I would almost describe it as like dumb rich people that are just like self-made people that are like, they're not any smarter than me, they're not any better than me, but they're happy and successful, and they own a jet, and like, what, like,
wow.
And a lot of them didn't have advanced degrees, and I was just like, man, I'm playing the wrong game working for the man over here. And so that's when I started really getting interested in learning about how do you get into entrepreneurship and becoming an owner of a company. So
yeah, like,
it sounds like we had that in common in our 20s. That light bulb came on for us.
Yeah, no, I've met a lot of people like that you would think are very smart, or, you know, are wealthy and successful, but like, people's minds just work in totally different ways from each other. You know, some like, you know, it's like the doctors and the investing thing. Like, people know that doctors are usually the worst investors, and they have horrible side businesses, and they're smart, they're doctors, but you know, it's just like the things. But so, I mean, that light bulb really flicks on when you realize, like, hey, you can only get the value you create, I would say. Like, really, my mindset, like, the first couple years was like, if I did have a family, if I did have all that extra stuff, that baggage, like baggage in a good way, it would have been so much harder to pull all this off, you know? And so, but that light bulb is really about, you know, how much value am I creating for people, and how can I get a piece of that? So like with really like, especially being a commercial subcontractor, like I'm always setting my clients up. My clients are always winning more than I am. Like seriously, like it's just 90% of my business is people taking my price and just smacking 20% on it, and they win, I win. And sometimes the end user is still winning in a situation like that because they are getting what they're paying for, a good value on what they're paying for. So really entrepreneurship, the first thing that should click for anybody is how much value can I create and keep it for myself. You know, so I've made a lot of people a lot of money. Like I make a lot of general contractors a lot of money. And I'm proud of that. Like I want, because especially in commercial construction, as a side note, like there's really not a situation where the subcontractor is winning while the general contractor is losing. So it's a win. It should be a win-win-win situation for all parties.
Yeah.
And you know, you just get a piece of that.
Hey guys, wanted to take a quick break from the show just to tell you about our companies for a second. I'm Patrick Dichter and I own Appletree Business Services. We do quality accounting and tax nationwide. So if you're running a business or looking to buy a business, we'd love to help you out with accounting and tax services. You can find us at appletreebusiness.com. And Clint, tell us about Bison Business.
Yeah, Bison Business is my firm. We do nationwide M&A. So we help people buy and sell companies. Most of our customers have companies in the 1 to 20 million revenue range, profitable businesses. So if you've got one and you're ready to get acquired, you can reach out to us at bisonbusiness.com for a complimentary evaluation. We can get you to market and get you sold. If you're a listener that's a buyer that wants to buy a company that size, make sure you're on our email list because we'll send you out deals first before they hit the market anywhere else. But we'd love to serve you anytime you're thinking of acquiring or selling your business. We want to be your first stop at Bison Business.
Awesome. Now back to the show.
You know, as Patrick said, you know, I'm kind of the M&A guy here, and I want to transition us into my favorite part of the show, which is like getting a quick snapshot of where your finances are with your business and kind of ballparking what your company might be worth right now. And maybe what it could be worth in the next few years. And then that's going to lead into the meat of our conversation, which is, could we tempt you to sell for what it's worth now or not? You know, but we got to get a baseline here. So do you mind if I just ask you a few quick questions about your finances?
Sure, of course.
All right, let's start with the top line. Like what's your revenue in 2024 and kind of where has it been trending and where do you think it's going to be in 25?
Yeah. So before we get like right into revenue in commercial construction, there's basically two things that are important when you're talking about new business. One is billing and like how much work, how much install, how much material did we use, and you bill on stuff that you've already completed. But then there's also new business and basically everything you have a contract for that you can't bill on yet. So on a balance sheet or a P&L statement or something, you can't show, hey, I have this much in contracts that I want to bring on, or this much I have in the pipeline. You can only have what you have in revenue. So revenue wise, last year we did 7 million. But sales wise, we were somewhere between like 7.5 and 7.6. So using like, if I like my vanity, you know, I could call everything, hey, everything that I have a contract on, I have revenue on because even though I did 7 million revenue like last year on my P&L for the year, I still had $2.5 million worth of contracts that I have in the pipeline that have been pushed, and you know, so that's an important factor, I believe. When you would be buying a business like mine, it's like, how much money do I have in the pipeline? Like if I could buy Elevation Flooring today, take over the account today, how much in contracts do I have to help me cash flow or like to get a true assessment of how much working capital this business has.
Yeah.
So we did 7 million last year. And hopefully this year we're trying to do 14-15 million is really my goal, because I have that full backlog. I have 4.5 million in backlog right now that I want to get through. that are all poised to go this year.
How much have you sold or collected so far? Here we're in late March.
And so this year we sold around 3 million already. But I have the last 10 days of the first quarter are coming up, and we have another million. I have this huge job I'm waiting to hear back on by the end of next week. So if I win that, I'll be at around 4 million in new business for the year, which is it's good for us.
Ranking.
So 2025, I mean, you've had great growth over 7 years. I think you had said earlier that 23 was more like a 6 million year, right? It was, it wasn't as big as 24, but it wasn't that big jump. So 25 could really be a breakout year for you.
Exactly. And that's kind of what it's been. We did 0, and then I think we did 800K, and then we did 3 million. And then we did 5.5, 6, 6.5, and then 7. And then this year it can just jump again. So some years, but what I really believe affected, just the two biggest effects that the macro situation of the world has, COVID was freaking annoying. It just made jobs really harder. New business was okay, but it just made operations really hard, especially being in DC. And then interest rates. Interest rates really affect the multifamily business and construction. And a huge subset of construction is multifamily work. So those contractors that are focused on doing multifamily work, which is the bottom of the barrel work in commercial, they went and they started bidding all the stuff that I usually go after and the stuff that I bid. So it got kind of competitive in my business, and it's all about price too. That's for some people. So I feel that kind of slowed our growth a little bit, but we were able to really double down on margins and really cut out bad people. I'm a big fan of Nick Huber. I old Nick.
Old Nick.
But he's always talking about, cut out your worst clients, cut out your people. And I so abruptly did that around 2021, 2022, just cut off a bunch of clients and changed our total style of work, ultra drastic decisions that I'm looking back on. That some decisions take so long to really act out that you don't realize you're making that decision. But that's also what happened in those years. So we really able to work on margins and make more money, even though we were making the same revenue over 2022, 2023.
So where are your margins today? Let's talk about that. 7 million in 24. What does that translate to net, and what are you able to take home as the owner here?
Yeah. So last year, we were able to gross 30%. So we want to win jobs at around 18 to 20%. We want good project management to take that 20% and make it 25%. And then we want change orders to take that last bit of 25% and even us out closer to 30. So we were able to hit 30 last year, 30% gross. And then we were netting around I think we net around 800, 900 grand last year. So I think that should come out to around 14, 15% net. But when it just it's all about your expenses for December. I really hate looking at it so strictly year over year, because we were tying this all the way back to cash flow. Just because you make a profit on your P&L doesn't mean you cash flow. That just means that's how it looked at December. But all I have, the real way to see cash flow is how much working capital do you have? How much receivables do you have? And what does that ratio look like? If your working capital is half of what your receivables are, you're effed. You should really have enough working capital that is at least double your receivables. So if I make 700K on my P&L, I can take that home, So I don't think anyone who's, I just did 700K on my P&L, 800K on my P&L, I'm taking that out of my bank account and putting it right in my pocket. That does not happen. And anyone, it could happen. I could do that, but then I want more working capital for this year because, every dollar of working capital I have, I can flip it at 20% every 3 months. Like my money cycle usually takes 3 months.
Yeah.
So if I have $1 in my bank account for this whole year and I can flip it every 3 months, I could flip it 4 times at 20%. Like that's like, I would never pull that 700K out, like I said, because I could flip it 4 or 5 times in 1 year. So, like honestly, the exact opposite. Like me and my partners really like we hate loans, we hate debt. Like we have really grinded to really like not make like how much we really deserve. Like on paper, when I look back, of course, I should have made like 500, 600 grand last year or something, but it's like, I'm okay with like, we have good salaries and make good money and like, so like, I'm definitely making more money than I would have had working anywhere else, but I'm not taking the full what I should be on paper taking or whatever. Like we sacrifice a lot for this business. And like, that's, selling elevation flooring, like it just like, this is my baby, like my every, like, people talk like one thing on Twitter that I really get pissed about is like, especially when we talk to younger people, this obsession with easy income, with passive income, with blah, 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 blah. Like, it's the exact opposite. Like, I feel that pulse on elevation flooring. When I come in here and I work really hard, I make more money. When I work less and I try to make it easier, I make less money. So this thing where you expect like I'm going to buy this business, it's going to passively. No, you are the floor general. You go in and you take it from 90 to 100%, and you keep that like consistent. And like there's so many factors that come into like making money and like getting up from the table at the right time. It's like if you want to pull all your 700K out at the end of the year, you're leaving the table way too early. You're leaving all your real profits right on the table. So,
I mean, you're kind of preaching to the choir with me and Patrick on this, because we that's something that gets our goat is when people, the SMB space should never really be equated with passive income, unless there's maybe like a sub genre of just in capital provider investors that could be passive, but like if you're the responsible party owner, or if you're the one taking out the loans for the company, like it's in no way passive. It's as hard as it gets. But it's very rewarding, and it's also the backbone of our economy and our country. If you get to 14 million this year, do you think you can maintain those similar margins?
No, I probably can't maintain those similar margins, honestly. Well, it comes down to the speed of how fast that work can get done once it's won.
Yeah.
But like for me to hit 14 million, I would have to lower my, how I said I want to win jobs at 20%. I would have to kind of lower that to like maybe 18, 19%. And get like, it wouldn't be a drastic change. Like it would still be 30 net. I mean, 30%.
Maybe you have like 10 or 12% fall on the bottom line still?
Oh, wait, no, more than that. No, I'm never letting this shit get back until 15%, because it comes, a lot of my expenses are interest payments. So like if I didn't have to pay interest on like again, that working capital ratio of accounts receivable to like right now I have, I think like $1.6 million in working capital. I have $2 million in accounts receivable. So that means I'm 400K short. So that means like I have 400K probably somewhere on my credit card, somewhere scattered around. I owe a couple subs like this money. So I have this like 400K gap basically. But if I'm in a couple negotiations with like a couple banks and stuff right now where like I can get like I have my line of credit, my cash line of credit right now is 100 grand, which is baby money. Like if I can get that upgraded, where people are making me promises right now, but to 500 or 1 million, I will be able to maintain that margin and have a better shot at getting to 32, 33%.
What net margin percent are you aiming for?
15. Like it's just like I said, it comes down to how much money I spend on these projects. Right. When I can,
let's come to here. 14 million top line. And
Yeah. I've already kind of got it ballparked for Con. Like, I have to ask the money question of our show here. All right.
Okay.
This is how it works. So we got to put you in the hot seat for a second. I think if you were like, Clint, I need out right now, I'd probably say we can get it done, close you this summer, but you're only get about $3 million.
Okay.
I think if you put up a really good year and you kind of hit that 12 to 15 million revenue, maybe 1 or 2 points less on margin, you might be looking at like a $5 million to $6 million transaction. So you're like in a big ramp up if you're able to have that breakout year and prove that it's not a fluke. Like you've got the team and processes to sustain that level, and that's transferable to a buyer. I think it could be a $5 or $6 million deal, maybe in this time next year.
Yeah.
Like at some point, does that start getting tempting for you and your partners? Could you say, "Hey guys, like we need to talk about this," or
Like
not?
out of my other partners, I would be the one who would even like if I have one of my partners, if you went up to him and you told him 6 million, he would say he'd say 30 million because like just like we've built so much to scale, guys. Like there's so much that I'm not even really getting into, but just like the operations of our business and stuff, like we only get more profitable as the revenues rise. Like I'm doing work from New York to Florida right now, and like my Florida work is really good, and like I have my own software that I've made. I know that sounds like crazy to people on Twitter or whatever, making your own software, but I made my own software like 3 years ago, and it saves us so much time on a daily basis. Then we have another CRM. Like I have so much data that I go back on. Like I have 7 years of project data, which I think is one of the most valuable parts of Elevation. Like I wouldn't even sell our software for $3 million, or because like just like my estimating group that I have in Turkey, like to a normal flooring company out here, I could sell that. Like just that part of this business, 10 estimators that can bid you an endless amount of projects that are, that business itself is worth, I would say, $3 million. So, I mean, honestly, like I see Elevation Flooring as the lift to some Ubers right now. Like there's a lot of Ubers in Elevation. I mean, in the commercial flooring business, there's about 5 really big guys, really top heavy, private equity, have a lot of debt. They bought 25 flooring companies in the last 3 years and $15 million each. Like I'm going to take a lot of business from those guys one day, and like those guys, like I could be 100 million in 5 years. I really could, because it's just like I said, it all comes down to money. Because I could open an office in every state in this country for very low margin, very low overhead, really high margin. Like
So I mean,
we're
just being
a lot of scale.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing you're 30, you're growing like you are, you're as passionate as you are. I was expecting to get swatted down on that question.
Yeah.
I was expecting that you wouldn't be tempted, especially you've got partners and things like that. Because like I would, if you told me you wanted to sell right now, I would actually feel like that's a red flag. I would feel like there's something wrong with you. You're smoking something. Like this is not a good time for you to sell it at the growth rate you're doing and the traction you're starting to get here.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all. But when does that start to change for you? Like at what point? Is it a number? Is it a phase of life? At what point would you say, you know what, we do need to talk? When would that ever change?
It would change. Like our goal is I say I want to do 100 million and stuff, but I want to do 25 million at 30% net, 15%. Just those are our goals. And if we could do that, and I could make like, I feel like I don't really, like I have everything I already want. Honestly, I have everything. Like I don't, like money hasn't made me happy in like a year or two. Like I think I got, like, I would say I got rich like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So like I am looking maybe like children and that next step of my life and spending time with them and stuff could get into that decision. But if I look at it pure financially and fun, like I don't want to underemphasize like how exciting it is to run a business and how like some days it feels like I'm on drugs because I have so many things happening and I have so much dopamine coming in. Like when you have this machine that's like so much bigger than you start getting good news from all different sides of the business. You know, and we have so many different clients. You never know. Like just because you won one job doesn't mean you won another. Like the other day, I had like for the first time, I had like close to like $1 million day. I got 2 or 3 big projects. I didn't get the contracts for them that day, but I got verbal confirmation, and like that and stuff moves super slow in construction. But like that day, that feeling I had, man, I would never like. It just feels so. You feel success. You feel like you're working really hard. So like, I don't know. I that feeling, and I talk to this with all my team too. Like they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you feel like you just want to keep working. Like you try to fix as much as you can. You dive into every detail as much as you can. Like it's like the exact opposite of being hands off. It's like you try to do as much as you can and squeeze it out of the business. So like that's so fun.
Are you the only like sales guy, or who does sales?
No, so I have 10 estimators. So like I have my head. I have 2 like pretty much guys at the top. I have 1 tippy guy at the top, and like basically he's just negotiating all day.
Got it.
Like it's like a red button, man. It's like, and that's why we bid so much. Like we want to get 150 bids out a month, so we can win 25 jobs a month. So then like, and once you build that up month after month, it's like every day I'm winning work now. Every day I'm winning a big job.
So if you're based in Baltimore, but if you're selling these jobs in like New York or Florida, are you just like, okay, I'm going to deliver the product and I'm going to connect with the sub? Or
no, man, I like everybody I work with makes a lot of fucking money. All of my installers make really good money.
But you would like pay for travel for installers?
Yeah, I send people everywhere. I would never trust a random to do one of my jobs.
Yeah,
like I have like about 100 clients that are really repeat clients.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's repeat clients with variables of like how much they can give me. Like these guys, I have like one of my clients could feed my whole company. Like Whitey Turner. Like these general contractors, they build America. Like these guys have hundreds of millions of dollars of flooring work, and I'm slowly building up with them. So like I just follow my good clients anywhere they go. Florida, I just did something in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and it was like a hard one. But I just give people my price, and I send my people, and like I said, people put 20% on mine, or they put me up against the local guy, and like I'm at 54,000 and the local guy's at 50,000. So then they're like, why, if I could just give this to him and not have any headaches or not have any change orders, like it becomes worth it to people,
Cool. Yeah.
So
you got all these repeat customers.
Yeah.
With
and each
what's your
one of them
job size? Like 100 grand?
Yeah. 100 grand. We really like jobs that are like 250. Like 250 is really good. It's not so big where it just sits there forever. Like when I have a couple big jobs like that, man, and like you still make the same margins. Like you can still make 30% on $1 million, but it just takes so much freaking longer.
And have you guys had any debt besides this little line of credit?
Yeah, we have. So the good part about COVID is we got one of those juicy SBA loans that's like EIDL 4.5%. It's like a mortgage. So I have like 500 grand from that.
That's crazy. That's it?
Yeah.
Man.
And I mean, I have my credit cards are not my personal credit cards, business credit cards maxed out, vendor accounts maxed out. Mm-hmm. But this is how you click. This is how you.
When the working
not maxed out, like
are hard because you're driving that much sales and you're getting stretched out by the GC and.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, I'm going to start thinking of Furkan when I hear the word inspired, uninspired, or acquired. It's like,
Yeah, he's
to me,
fired
you're
up.
like the embodiment of the inspired entrepreneur right now. Like, I love the juices flowing out of you that like you're just like wanting to squeeze this thing. You're all in. You want to work more. You have to almost pry him out of this business right now.
All right, so give us the keys to get to 100 million. Like, what are the two or three things to?
First thing is sales. First thing is, well, I mean, other than like you can do the work and you have no bottleneck on how much work you can handle, right?
I'm asking you, man. Like, I think you'll get there, but like, what are the things that you think it's gonna take you guys to get to 100? Yeah.
Oh, in general, I mean, I just need money, man. I could, like, if I was willing to give away parts of this business that I love so much and sell my soul a little bit, like, you know, take expensive money, do that bullshit, have some like shareholders or whatever, dudes that have some say over what I do and stuff. I could I could do that way quicker. But I think like if I can unlock like $2 million, if I had $2 million of a line of credit of $2 million, I could do 25 million. I could do it next year. Like I could open 5 branches all at the same time. Like all these places that I work in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, like I just need a warehouse and I need one really, really good warehouse guy. Everything else I can run from Florida. And that's what's really bad for my competition, because they're the exact opposite. They have like strong pillars of these places where they have project managers and estimators and secretaries and assistant project managers and all these people. And then like starting that new at other places is hard. But with like our CRM and the way that we bid and the way that our team is and stuff, like we could open branches up instantly overnight, you know, and we can outbid the hell out of you too. Like I just put my estimators on it. Like, so the biggest single barrier to 100 mil other than the money is me and my partners, and like how much more we're going to keep pushing it. And like,
are they first generation American as well?
they're one of them is Hispanic and then one of them is white, like American. So, but they like, none of us have anything else. Like we don't have money from anybody coming, nothing like that. Like they have their own like stories, like interesting podcasts, more interesting than 95% of the people on Twitter. Even my installers, like my installers, they make a lot of money. They work so freaking hard. Like with like they could flex on half of those people, you know? So
yeah,
but it's just like, but in general, just so I can say this to anybody listening, like the first thing you need to really do once you get your business like capacity up and how much work you can, is like really learn your balance sheet, really learn your P&L statement. Like don't be afraid to get into the weeds of that stuff. Like that was a big turnaround for me. Like understanding, like I said, ratios of working capital and like forecasting cash flow. And like the biggest mistakes I've made is like, I just burying myself sometimes with when I don't have money coming in, and like trying to pay installers and all that type of stuff. Like just know your numbers really, really well.
Amen.
If capital's your constraint, I think Patrick and I should do some spitballing with you here and see if we can solve this, because I feel like it can be done without going to a loan shark and without having to sell out to private equity right now or at your current size. Like you're not the right size to do a deal with private equity. I don't think. I think it's a banking relationship you need. Like
I have like, I'm getting that with like, I'm getting to that with people. Like I have unlimited expensive money. Like that's kind of what I was trying to say. I can.
Can you get your bank to increase your line, or have you started like talking to other bankers that might be able to give you a better line of credit? Because if that's your constraint, man, like that's still solvable.
Wells Fargo for like 5 years. Then I just switched to another bank. They gave me the 100. They were supposed to give me 500. Then they got bought out 2 months ago. With like, you remember when all this bank stuff was happening? What is that, like 3-4 months ago? they bought another bank or something, or they got bought out, and then their lending stuff got like super tight. And then now I'm working with this other guy, these other two guys, and each of them I'm kind of pitting them against each other for it. But it's just I'm so tired of like just the bankers, man, and I'm so tired of that side of the business. It's just so I hate insurance, I hate taxes, and I hate banks. Like it's those three things. Like
in your way.
yeah, and all of that falls on me at Elevation. So, but those three things, taxes, banks, and insurance, like those are definitely the most boring parts of the company.
I mean, the other thing I was thinking too was like, does this industry just dictate the terms on the percentage you get up front on the job, or can you try to get more up front and so that you can use your customers' money a little bit more for your growth?
Yeah, no, on end user work. So if I'm working direct with like not through a general contractor, I'll take a 50% deposit, and I won't do. If you don't give me 50% down, I'm not doing the job. Like, so if like end user stuff is different, but then that's the best part about like even though general contractors, it's hard to do business with them. Like then I don't have to worry about getting the money. I don't have to worry about designing and talking to people. Selling them on like, oh, this color flooring, that color flooring. Like I could get more money up front. I could get more end user work. I could put more resources into winning end user work. Then I need more operations. I need more like, it's just none of it comes with like the clear answer, you know, to if I want to get, but if I want to be in the GC business, no, I can't get deposits. I can't get money up front. I can bill better. You'll be more vicious on billing and like build a second. And that's what we're working on right now. But getting money up front is hard. Like the whole construction industry is.
What do you work on? Billing faster?
Yes. I'm working on a way. Like I really care about the data. Like I track everything about all of our projects. The size of the project, how much carpet, how much labor, how much material, how much was wasted, how much went out, how much have we built, how much work orders have I paid against that job, how much like so what I'm trying to create right now is like I have all this, I'm taking care of all the data, but now I'm trying to sort it better. So like I'm trying to find a way to do billing that would be basically like first I track my own spending and I bill according to my spending, not according to a job schedule. So it's just like the biggest killers, again, this is another secret, another really low key thing. The biggest expense in construction is doing work you can't bill on. So if you do change orders, you get verbally agreed, the client verbally agrees to do a change order and you do the work, but you don't get the paperwork yet for it. So you can't bill for it this month, you bill for it next month. That is like a 3x killer on your business because doing work you can't bill on is basically just going to clog up. Even if it doesn't clog up all of your working capital, it's an extra 20-30% it will clog up, like just doing business like that. So if you're clogging up your working capital with a bunch of different stuff, like it's just not gonna like, so I want to bill on everything that I've spent $1 on. That's what I'm setting up. Instead of being retroactive, we're saying, hey, we bought materials for this job that's 2 months ahead. Like instead of waiting to bill that job, because we don't even realize it because we're so busy. It's like we bought it. It's been sitting in the warehouse because we bill what we install. But now we want to bill everything that's on our credit card that just goes out. And we rather get denied billing and then let it be pushed back. And but then you need more accounting managers because you need people getting like more work. You know, it's more stuff that you have to do. So, but.
Well, it sounds like, man, like a big focus of this year for you, besides just that, to support that growth is that capital, you know, just getting lines of credit in every 100K additional line of credit you can get every, day shorter, you can get your receivables coming in on their aged receivables. And even is there longer terms with vendors, things like that, like that's all going to equate into supercharging your growth. And so I hope you're really focused on that to help that unlock happen for you. Because man, it'd be fun to see you to talk to you in 2 years and you're already at that 25 mil point. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it like all that stuff that we talk about, like the vent, like that just comes in from like the only way is through. Like you got to come in and you got to come to the office and you got to do all that stuff to supercharge the growth. Like that stuff's not going to even happen just like naturally over time.
You're a monster, man.
Thanks, man. I try, dude. I like.
You bring
I want to be one.
much energy and like enthusiasm, and just you're in the details and in the weeds of it. And I'm so glad I don't compete with you. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, I said that too.
In Baltimore, I would hate to compete with you. But.
Yo, and man, I have some like dogs on my team, man. I'm telling you, like the people, they're all my like best friends, like people I like, already grew up with, but like we just are like, they keep me committed, man. Like, cause like sometimes I see them like grinding. Like I said, when you get into that zone where you're like, man, looking for stuff that you want to get cleaned up, like I see them and they inspire me too. So like I have a really cool team, a really great team of people around me, and like that's a huge part about owning a business too. You get to work with the people you like.
Yeah. So well, this has been really fun to just dig in with you and hear about your growth and hear about your margin and what we have going on.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I had a lot of fun too.
Questions or feedback for?
I mean, hey, I'd like to talk to you guys definitely more about, the problems that you think can help me solve.
Well, we love to be resources for you, man. Anything we can do with helping with accounting or finance or valuations and things like that, love to be a resource. But I think there's a lot of people that are going to hear this and just want to be connected with you, want to try to draw from some of that energy that you're putting out there. Like how should our audience be able to just find you, connect to you? Is that Twitter the best way or something else?
I mean, honestly, man, I'm like so easy to get to. Twitter, like Furkan at elevationtouring.com. Like I don't know. I have a lot of like, Twitter's a weird place for me because I have a lot of these dudes that are like 90 followers, 100 followers. And like just in like different levels of commercial construction. Like, honestly, I don't try to talk to people in other like e-com and stuff. Like I don't give advice to people like that, but I know a lot of dudes, especially that do residential sub work, that want to do commercial sub work, that I really talk to and I give them really good advice, man. Like, so like if you want to break into commercial work and like you have really good questions and like you've done it and you're not like just what can I do? What should I do next? Like, no, like if you have real concrete questions about stuff, like those guys, they can reach me and I'll probably get back to them in 2 minutes. So like,
awesome.
If you're a real killer in construction and you want to work hard, and like I'm happy to talk to people like that all day long. So
awesome, man. We'll link to our show notes, and congrats on your huge Q1. We're excited to see where you finish up this year, and we'll have to do a follow up here.
Thanks
For coming on the show, man. It's been great.
Thanks.